Hi, grade nines. We have the opportunity of a lifetime, and I'm not even joking about this. My school, Dr. Egbert, has done something amazing, and they have let me help them, or help you actually, be part of a global experiment. And not just any global experiment, one where our results that we find will get published to NASA as well as the international science community. So it is super exciting. This will be involved in this unit as well as in our last unit of space. So if you are at all interested in space, and I know a lot of you have been saying space, 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 this will help us. And it'll get you started in space without actually quite getting to the unit yet. So here's the background. I've already talked to you guys a little bit about this, but you know that in 2024, NASA is sending up Artemis, which Artemis was the twin sister to Apollo, and was the god of the moon. So the Artemis project is going back to the moon in 2024. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be sending up the first woman, which is hugely exciting, but also they're going to stay. The plan is that they're going to be on the moon for a month. This is awesome, exciting, amazing science is going to come from this, but there's a problem. They physically cannot take up enough food to have their astronauts survive for a month. So one of the problems that they have to solve before the project can go up is how do we grow things on the moon? So what my school has done is they have purchased simulated moon soil. So on the moon, there's this, I say soil, it's not really soil. It's called regolith. Regolith is what is covering the moon's surface, and it is a super fine white powder, and it doesn't have anything that's super bioaccessible. Now, bioaccessible is another giant science word where we've shoved two words together. So bio meaning life and accessible meaning you can get it. So living things should be able to get it. Bioaccessible. But it's not bioaccessible on the moon, meaning you cannot absorb those nutrients from the regolith and actually use them in your plants. So this is a huge problem. So what they know to start with is we're not going to be able to just stick some seeds into the soil, bring our little watering pot, and magically have plants on the moon. So what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to add something into that soil. So how do you decide what to add? How do you decide how much to add? You have to carry that stuff up to the moon. How heavy is it going to be? Is it possible to somehow make it lighter? If you make it lighter, do you change the accessibility to plants? What plants will grow on the moon? There are so many scientific questions. So many. So what we need to know, first of all, is that we are going to get to be part of this experiment. We are going to help scientists for NASA decide what to add and what to grow. I'm super excited. So first, you need to know what a nutrient is. So nutrients are what we need for life, what's necessary for life to happen, and what's necessary for life to grow. So we have two types of nutrients in our body, and these are like huge types of nutrients, not just little types of nutrients. But one is like macronutrients, and those we need a lot of. Our body absorbs tons of them. We need lots of them for us to grow. Plants also have macronutrients that they need to grow. And then you have micronutrients. Now, micro means small, which means that you don't need a lot of them. But you need them for many, many different reasons. They can also be called trace nutrients. So those, we just need a little bit, but we need that little bit, and it's really important. So when we look at plants, I went through and I did all of this research for you. Now, you're going to have to do your own research when we do macronutrients for humans and micronutrients for humans. But I got really excited because I was super pumped about the project and I did all of this work for you. So what are the macronutrients? How do they help the plants? How do you get it? Where we find it? So all of this is laid out for you here. I'm not going to read through every little bit of it because there's a lot. But basically, the macronutrients that we need as a plant is we need nitrogen, we need phosphorus, and we need potassium. Excuse me. So if we need those three, those have to be somehow put into our regolith so that we can grow our plants. Now we also have some problems with those. If we have too little, there's certain things that will happen to our plants. And if we have too much, other problems will happen. So there's like this beautiful perfect amount. And that perfect amount does depend on the plant that you're growing. Not to make it more complicated, but it's true. So I also put in what happens if you have too much and too little, because if you're going to help me with this project, which I really, really hope that you are, we need to be able to tell if our plants aren't growing properly, what might be wrong with them. So I've also put in this information here about fertilizers, because that might be one of the things that we want to add in to our plants. So fertilizers have specific numbers given on each container, and they're given in nitrogen. I was going to say nitrous. That is not a word. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And always on every bag of all fertilizers, it's always in that order. And it tells you the percentage in that bag is each thing. So how much nitrogen, how much phosphorus, and how much potassium. So you can have varying amounts. Like here you'll see that you've got 5, 10, and 1. So 5% nitrogen, 10% phosphorus, 1% potassium. 5, 10, 10. Again, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So if you have too much fertilizer, you can cause other problems. If you have too little fertilizer, you don't have plants growing. There's lots of different things that happen. We also then need to have micronutrients. So our micronutrients for our plants are like calcium, magnesium, boron, zinc, manganese, copper, molybdenum, sulfur, iron. Now I cannot tell you how excited my own mother is that we are doing this project, because my mom loves plants. She has a huge green thumb. We have this huge garden at my parents' house. She's won awards for her garden, and I kill plants. So I'm telling you, I need your help, because I kill plants. I kill plants that are on Earth. But I feel like if it has stuff from the moon, I will be successful. And my fingers are crossed. And I have another teacher who's going to help me, who's a much better botanist than I am. So what you guys need to do is this regolith that we're getting is actually called Exolith. And it's called Exolith because it's a simulant. We've simulated, they took the rock samples from the Apollo missions, and they have made in a lab on Earth simulated regolith called Exolith that we're going to get to the school, and we're going to have to add things to. So there's only like 5 million questions, like how much nitrogen are we going to need? How much phosphorus are we going to need? How much potassium are we going to need? What should we add? How much? Here's the rules. We cannot add more of whatever we're putting in than 50%. So it has to have more Exolith than our additive by volume. So when you think of by volume, think of in your kitchen, you've got your like cups. So you can have like 1 cup of regolith, and the most of whatever we put in has to be half a cup or less. That's important because you need to put that into how you plan on doing your lab. So we also need to pick a plant. Now they've given us some suggestions, and I've put them here. Spinach, arugula, which is like a lettuce. Green. If you know more about arugula and you're offended that I called it just like a lettuce, I apologize. Green beans, beets, carrots, and Swiss chard. So I have given you a link to a farmer's almanac. So here you're going to need to kind of decide which plant you want and why. So here's the other important thing. We only get 10 weeks to grow this. We were supposed to start February 1st, but we haven't gotten our exolith yet. So we have a week of grace, and hopefully it'll arrive sometime this week, and then we can start growing next week, but we only have 10 weeks to grow. So that means we're just looking at germination, like getting some plant up. By the way, that is the best part I am at when it comes to growing plants. I can always get it to start growing. It's just keeping it alive that's tough. So again, I feel like I'm going to do okay. So we need to pick the plant. Germination, we only have 10 weeks. So if your plant choice takes more than 10 weeks, we're not going to do it because it won't work. Light requirements, we are going to have grow lights at the school, but we need to know, does it need full sun? Does it like shade? We need to know what it's going to need. Now we're going to have kind of a false environment. So that's important. The nutrients that that particular plant requires and what you need. And then optimal growing conditions. So we're just going to kind of pick a plant and kind of talk about those parts of things. I've added in some video links that could help you that are all about growing. There's videos already online about growing plants in space because people have been working on this forever. Who knew? So that's also really exciting. And then this section will be marked. So what's below will be marked, and I'll be putting this into our assignment section. But basically what you're going to hand in, because you guys are already experts at this, you may notice this looks very much like your labs from before, except you don't have to write the whole thing. Introduction, what's your goal of this lab? I can tell you right now, your goal is to try to be able to grow a plant, or germinate, more specifically, germinate a plant in regolith. So what are you going to add in? Why did you pick that? What plant are you going to use? Why'd you pick that plant? Those are your questions in the introduction. You need to give me what your manipulated, your responding variable be, and what controls you're going to have. Give me a research question, your hypothesis, the if, then, because. And then I've given you another space just in case there was more information you wanted to say. This assignment is going to be due by Friday. And that reason why it's going to be due by Friday and not the following Tuesday is because if we get our soil this week, we may have to start growing next week. And that means that I need to compile all of these ideas together so we can vote on which one we're going to actually do. Again, full disclosure, my school is paid for this, so obviously the face-to-face classes at my school will also be involved in this. The plants are going to live beside me, so you guys will get to see them, hopefully in like every Google Meet. As we go through, even if you choose not to be part of the actual club. But there's the option for that. So this is going to be an opportunity that you will not get again because they may already learn how to do it by the time you get to it. I am so excited to be part of it. I feel so privileged to get to do it with students. I'm super pumped. And like, I can't wait till the stuff arrives and I can be like, look at what it is. Don't feel like because you're at home, you're going to miss out on a lot. Students are not allowed to touch the regolith. They are not going to be allowed to play with the regolith. They're going to be able to see it in the same way that you will be able to see it, which will probably be like in a little test tube and with me holding it in front of the screen because it's such a fine powder. It's not actually good for you, and we're having to get extra safety equipment for us to be able to plant our plants. If you're looking at this and you're like, oh my God, I have no idea, you could just put soil. Like how much soil you'd use, what different types of soil, but you need to just have some thought processes into it. We will be competing, like actually competing, it's a competition science, with everyone from kindergarten to university level and beyond are involved in this project. It is across the world. I have personally already talked to people in Australia, Korea, oh my goodness, Africa, like all over the world who are going to be competing in this project. which is another super cool thing. And when we are done and present our project, we get to present it to NASA, from what I can tell. And there will be a group that gets to do that. So